Hello everybody, Gage here from Sharp. Super excited to have you back with me on the YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be the commencement of a new series we're doing on the channel called the Roundup series. In this series of videos, we're going to choose a knife shape. We're going to show you everything that we have in stock at the filming of the video, talk briefly about each of the knives, and then sort of talk about which knives would be best suited to which styles of cutting or, based on your experience in the kitchen. Before we get into that, I just wanted to apologize for the little scam issue that we had on our last video. We ran a giveaway and some unfortunate soul decided to try to scam some of our wonderful subscribers. So in the future, if you ever participate in a giveaway, you will only be contacted through one of our real deal channels. So you'll notice on the scam comments, it comes from a random account. So just make sure you keep your eyes peeled on that stuff in the future if you ever play a giveaway again. So like I said, this is a new series. We would really appreciate some help with you, from you guys to make this the most entertaining and educational and helpful series as we possibly can. So make sure to leave a comment down below. Let us know anything that you were hoping to learn from this video that we didn't cover, and we'll try to include it in our next round of Roundup videos. So without further ado, we're going to unbox all of these Nakiris, lay them out on the table, and start talking about them. Okay, so like I said, we've got everything unboxed. We're gonna keep this quick, fun, and entertaining. So we're gonna spend like 30 seconds on each knife and then move on to the next. So first one here, we've got the Masutani Nashiji Nakiri made from VG1 Gold. This guy's got an oak mono handle on it, meaning no ferrule. Octagonal in shape, so suitable for right and left-handed users. Really, really nice feeling handle. This knife is not particularly thin right at the spine, but it is quite thin behind the edge and a little bit delicate because of that. It does have a fantastic, fantastic cutting feel though, and we have a super deal going on for this guy right now. Extra efficient rounds. These two knives are the same blade, they just have a different handle on them. They are the Sakon Ginga Nakiris. These are stainless steel knives, as was the Masutani. These guys are a little bit chunkier. They've got a rough Nashiji finish on them. Still really nice cutting feel on them, but they're some of the more robust, or I should say the most robust Nakiris that we have in the shop. If you're looking for something workhorsey, these guys are right up your alley. Only difference between the two, the one in my right hand has a black packawood ferrule with a welded bolster. The one in my left hand has a brown handle with no bolster. Both handles feel really good in the hand. The Octagrip or brown handled one is a little chunkier. They both have very, very similar weights to them, and they both look super, super cool. Next, let's take a little trip down Takefu Lane, starting off with the older brother of Yu Kurosaki, Makoto Kurosaki's VG10 Nakiri with Tsuchime or hand hammered and Damascus finish on it. It's got an oval handle made from rosewood and black packawood ferrule. Very, very comfortable, a little bit chunkier handle, so if you got bigger mitts, this might be a good option for you. The blade is relatively thin behind or out of the tang at the spine here, and comes quite thin behind the edge, but certainly not one of the more delicate knives. Great cutting feel on this guy, little bit on the heavier side compared to some of the other stuff, and balances quite a bit further forward than some of the other stuff. Beautiful, beautiful knife. One of the more affordable Nakiris as well. Punches above its weight class. Another fantastic maker from the Takefu Knife Village is Yoshimi Kato-san. This from his R2 Tsuchime line with a walnut octagonal handle with buffalo horn ferrule on it. These handles are gorgeous. So comfortable in the hand. They look really, really beautiful. Fit and finish on this knife is stellar, almost perfect. Can't say that any knife has the perfect fit and finish, but this guy's pretty darn close. Nice tall blade on these guys, relatively flat profile, a little curvature to them. I would not call this a super delicate knife, but I would not call it a workhorse at the same time. Light overall, balance points, very similar to Makoto's Nakiri there. Really, really beautiful knife. R2 being my favorite stainless steel on the market, holds its edge beautifully. Super cool knife. Moving on to Yu Kurosaki, one of my favorite blacksmiths. we have two offerings from him. The first being his Hap40 Gecko series. This is a new lineup to the shop. Beautiful, beautiful knife. These Wenge handles are some of my favorites in the shop. The mono handle is personally one of my favorite styles of handle. I love the way they look and I love the way these feel. Hap40 is a semi-stainless, so you will still have to keep this guy dry, keep it clean, wipe it down, be careful with acidic ingredients, but it won't give you as much trouble as like a fully carbon knife. Really, really nice grind on these guys. A little different than Kurosaki's normal work. A little more convex, a little thicker behind the edge. So if you're looking for a workhorse knife with spectacular edge retention, this guy is going to be right up your alley. Really clean, just a plain look to it. But if you're looking for pure performance, this guy is right up your alley. Second offering from Kurosaki is his Senko lineup. This features a really cool Tsuchime or hand-hammered star pattern on it. These guys are made from R2 steel. They have an oak handle with purple heart ferrule, octagonal shape, suitable for righties and lefties. Relatively thin at the spine, quite thin behind the edge. I would say these are more reminiscent of Yu's normal work. They are still not quite as thin as some of the stuff that we have from him, but they're approaching more of a laser status than the Hap40 Gecko was. A little bit lighter than the Gecko as well, a little bit of a taller blade, nice and flat. Really, really beautiful knife. Can't say enough good things about this guy. Fit and finish is really nice. Yeah, overall, super stellar knife from Kurosaki. This is Yu's only roll forged and stamped knife option. It is still sharpened by hand and many of the other processes done by hand, but this is a great way to pick up a Kurosaki for a slightly discounted price. The last stop in the Takefu Knife Village little walkabout here is from Takeshi Saji. This is from his Rainbow Damascus series. These are probably the flashiest of the Nakiris that we'll talk about today. Beautiful, beautiful knife. I believe on the website we have these listed as desert wood handles, but they are in fact quints. The steel type on this guy is VG10. It is relatively thick at the spine and not thick behind the edge, but certainly not super, super thin. It's got more of a European or Western style feel to it. Of course, contributing to that being the Western handle here. Fit and finish on these guys is spectacular. The blades are gorgeous. The Rainbow Damascus is so cool. The spine feels really, really nice. It's got a really comfortable feel in the hand. Not normally one to go after a Western handle on an Nakiri, but I would certainly not be disappointed with this guy. Not part of the Takefu Knife Village, but in Echizen City, which is where the Takefu Knife Village is located, we are going to now talk about Rusin Himono's Nakiri, starting off with the Bonten Black Damascus Nakiri. This guy's made from VG10. It has a Wenge octagonal handle with black pakkawood ferrule, octagonal in shape, suitable for righties and lefties. Comes out of the tang a little bit thick, but tapers down quite nicely towards the tip. Quite thin behind the edge as well. Fit and finish on everything Rusin Himono is always top notch. Handles and blades come together very nicely. Everything's very, very straight and symmetrical, just what you want out of your knife, of course. The Bonten is beautiful, beautiful to look at and has really good performance. We do find that this black Damascus does rust a little bit quicker than a typical stainless steel knife, so keep that in mind if you are looking at this guy. You will have to keep it dry, keep it clean. Next from Rusin Himono is their Blazin series. This guy's super cool, has a Nashiji finish on it. Beautiful octagonal walnut handles here. They are octagonal, but they do have a little something extra going on there, kind of taper in where the ferrule would normally be in towards the blade. Makes for a really, really comfortable feeling knife. And they also have this sort of like reverse tip on them. Looks super, super cool. I don't know how much extra utility it adds to the knife, but hey, beautiful, beautiful steel on these guys as well. R2, so it's going to hold its edge really well. Comes out of the tang, not super thick, and tapers down a little bit, but not a ton. And behind the edge, we're looking at a definite laser here. So if you're looking for a really high performing Nakiri and you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of robustness for it, this guy is a great option. One of my favorites. We're doing it. We're moving along. Next, the Tangen Ryu series from Rusin Himono. This features a beautiful Tsuchime or hand-hammered finish with a Damascus pattern as well. They've got micarta handles on them, which are, I guess I would call them octagonal, but they're kind of like, I don't know, they're their own shape. They are very comfortable. The knife is more reminiscent of a Western style knife overall in its feel and its weight, so it's gonna be a little bit heavier, balanced a little bit further back in the handle. Blade is not super tall on these guys. They are relatively thin at the spine, and they do have a beautiful cutting feel. They are quite thin behind the edge. If you're looking for something with a little bit more weight to it and something that isn't super delicate, these are definitely a great option. They are spectacular to look at as well, and they make a great showpiece if you plan to show it off in your kitchen. Next, we've got the Fukaku Ryu series. This is made from ATS 314, stainless steel again. A steel that I wasn't super familiar with before we got these knives, but after playing around with one of these, super happy with it. Very similar to R2 in both its sharpening and its edge retention. It's got a beautiful Damascus finish on it with these really gorgeous maple, again, sort of octagonal, sort of something different shaped handles on them. Again, very similar blade shape to the Blazin series with that sort of like reverse shaped tip there. Nice and flat profile, as have the Blazin series. Really gorgeous knife. Again, everything that I said about the Blazin sort of would apply to this guy as well. Super high performing knife, a little bit on the delicate side, but if you're willing to treat it right, it's going to perform beautifully for you. So there you have it. Canadian maple as well. I don't know if I said that, that's pretty cool. Okay, Atetsu, our house brand, and we'll start off with the only carbon steel Nakiri that we have in stock right now, which is the Atetsu Nashiji Nakiri. This guy's a little shorter than everything else we've looked at 155 millimeters. Has a Western sort of pseudo-Japanese style handle on it, made from walnut. Really comfortable. We find a lot of guys that come in with larger mitts really enjoy these guys. Fill up your hand really nicely. Super comfortable feeling knife. They are still balanced a little bit forward, so if you like that more forward balance of a typical Japanese knife, this guy's gonna feel good to you. Carbon steel at the core with a stainless cladding. Jake will show this on the B-roll, but there's a faint wavy line close to the edge of the knife where the stainless ends. Carbon steel exposed beyond that point, and that's the only part of this knife that could rust. So very important you keep it dry and clean. This is the most curvy Nakiri that we have. So typically a Nakiri is used in an up and down chopping motion like so, and has a nice flat profile to help with that cutting motion. This guy would be used more in a rocking motion. So if you like the look of a Nakiri, but you prefer to use a rocking motion, this is the knife for you. So Jake would like to point out that these are super fun to work on. They have a ton of fun sharpening these, polishing the bevels, thinning them out. The steel, stainless on these guys must be really soft and easy to work with. So there you have it. If you're looking for a knife where you can kind of polish the bevels on and make it your own, great option. Moving on, second knife from the Atetsu lineup being the Tsuchime or hand-hammered series. This is our most affordable option. Western style handle with black pakkawood ferrule. This is a great way to just start getting into Japanese knives if you're just looking to dip your toes in the water before making the plunge. Very easy to maintain knife. Still great performance on these guys. They're quite thin at the spine and quite thin behind the edge, but we don't get a ton of chipped ones of these back. So I would say that while it's not a workhorse, it's definitely not going to be in the laser category. A little bit shorter of a blade height there than I would typically go after, but again, for a first knife, this is a fantastic option. Finishing up the Atetsu series is the X-hammer lineup. This is made from SLD, which is a semi-stainless. Not going to give you as bad a time as a carbon steel, but still going to require a little bit more maintenance than a standard stainless steel, which just means keep it dry, keep it clean, wipe it down immediately after use, and be careful with acidic things. Nice tall blade on it. SLD has a decent Rockwell rating on it of around 60, so really good edge retention on these guys as well. I find these very easy to sharpen as well. Anytime we get them in the shop, super easy to sharpen. Ash handle with quince ferrule, octagonal in shape, so suitable for righties and lefties. Quite thick right out of the handle into the tang here, but tapers down nicely towards the tip. And very, or I shouldn't say very thin, but quite thin behind the edge as well. We get very few of these back in with chips in them, so I would say they're not a workhorse, but they're definitely not a laser either. So great gift idea, great if you're just looking to get into Japanese knives, as well as they're not the most expensive knife on the site either. Jake thinks they punch above their price range. I agree. There you go. Get it. get one. Finishing off our roundup is the Shigeki Tanaka Damascus Nakiri made from VG10 stainless steel, featuring an octagonal walnut handle with black packawood ferrule, suitable for righties and lefties. These guys are not super thin right out of the handle here, but not super thick either. They don't taper a ton, but they do a little bit, still quite thin at the spine. Thin behind the edge as well. They have a convex grind on them, very similar to the Gecko Nakiri from Yu Kurosaki here, meaning that very, very sharp, but going to be a little bit stronger for a knife with a similar thinness behind the edge. Really nice flat profile on these guys, so if you like the up and down, push and pull motion, these guys are going to be perfect. Really beautiful knife as well. This is a sticker here, so that should probably come off, though I've worked with people who like to see how long they can keep it on for. So there you have it, the Nakiri Roundup. Real quick before we let you go, we said we're going to tell you which knife is more appropriate for which kitchen experience. So we have all of our Nakiris broken down into two sections here. On my left, we have the beginner slash professional who works in a high volume space. These are kitchens where the dishy may throw your knife through the dishwasher without you asking, so they better be able to handle it. On my right, we have discerning home cooks and those professionals who work in lower volume, more fine dining places where it's less likely that your knife is going to get put through the dishwasher without your permission. So on my left, for the beginner slash high volume kitchen, we have the Atetsu Tsuchime. Atetsu Tsuchime. It's like Tsuchime. Atetsu Tsuchime. Okay, here we go. Not fucking around. The Atetsu Tsuchime, the Sakon Ginga Octagrip, the Sakon Ginga with bolster, the Makoto Kurosaki Atetsu X-hammer, Rusin Bonten, Shigeki Tanaka, and Masutani Nashiji. We have put asterisks on 4 of these knives. Those are the Atetsu X-hammer, the Bonten, the Shigeki Tanaka, and the Masutani. We've put asterisks on these knives because they are all a little bit thinner and a little bit more prone to chipping than the other 4 we've listed. So if you are a beginner and never used a Japanese knife, just be aware of the fact that these are a little bit more delicate. The Bonten also will require you to wipe it down, keep it dry, as will the X-hammer, because these are both sort of like semi-stainless steels. So not going to be as difficult as a carbon, but keep in mind you can still develop rust a little easier than a typical stainless. So for the professional in a low volume setting or the discerning home cook, we have the following 8 knives: the Rusin Tangen Ryu, Rusin Blazon, Rusin Fukaku Ryu, the Yoshimi Kato, the Yu Kurosaki Gecko, Yu Kurosaki Senko, Takeshi Saji Rainbow, and the Atetsu Nashiji 155, little mini guy. Now we have all these knives in this category because they are all a little bit thinner behind the edge and will require a little bit of extra care to get the most out of these knives. It should be noted though that if you properly maintain these knives and use them properly in a forward and backward, up and down cutting motion with no twisting, you will likely not see any chipping and you will likely see better performance from these knives in comparison to the other 8. They also are typically a little bit higher priced as well, so that should be kept in mind as well. No asterisks on these knives, except for maybe the one and only carbon steel knife that we have on offer, being the Atetsu Nashiji. Just make sure you keep this guy dry and clean, as you should with all of the knives, but this guy especially could possibly rust again, just to make sure you're aware. Before we let you guys go for real, I just wanted to point out that we normally have many more carbon steel Nakiri options in stock. Got a little bit cleared out over Christmas, so don't fret, just hang out for another month or 2. We've got lots more stuff coming in. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We had a blast putting this together for you. I hope you enjoyed. Like we said at the beginning, make sure if there's anything in here that would help us improve these videos and make them more entertaining and educational for you. Thank you again for the support. We really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next video. Until then, stay sharp.